What is up, fam? It's Dr. Dale, and I just want to say happy Monday. It's going to be a great week. Like I tell you guys every single week, and you got to believe it because I believe it. You always have to look at the bright side and things in life. And I was doing some teaching last week to some of my trainees, and I do a lot of teaching on medicine and things of that sort, of course, right? Because I want them to learn the medicine. But last week I took, maybe 30 minutes to specifically set aside just to teach them about life and how to get after and how to become a leader and things of that sort, and just how to really make the most out of every day and appreciate everything, right? So today I'm going to remind you guys to appreciate everything. Have a phenomenal Monday, phenomenal Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and come back and do it again, right? So every Monday, you got to be super excited. As always, I want to remind you guys that this is PreMed Mondays. So what we do here is I just answer some questions from pre-medical students. So if you have a question, feel free to DM it to us on Instagram at TeamBMWC, or you can email us info@blackmenandwhitecoats.org. And for the pre-meds, check out PreMedMondays.com. We do mastermind classes or mastermind group sessions on Monday nights, and every week I send you out a video with some just straight up gold, pure gold, some information that you want to know to become not just a medical student, but just to become successful as a leader in whatever your calling is. So this week I've got a question from Ruth, and Ruth's question is this.
Hey Dr. Dale, Ruth here, and I have a question in regards to personal statements. So as somebody who reviews personal statements for residency applications, I know you're well aware of what stands out when reviewing these personal statements. So I just wanted to see if you could give us some insight into what sticks out to you so that we can work to apply that to our personal statements for medical school. Thank you.
All right, Ruth, phenomenal question. And I'm really happy you asked this question because personal statements, for a lot of people, kind of like the bane, right? Two things people struggle with a lot of stuff when you're applying for medical school, but one thing people have the hardest time with is writing that personal statement. They have writer's block, they don't know what to write about, and it's just a really difficult time. Then they got to get it read and proofread and get this person's opinion, that person's opinion, and personal statements just become a lot more challenging than they actually need to be. You want to get it right, and I understand your question. So your question pretty much is, hey, what are the reviewers looking for, right? What are they looking for? And the first thing I'll tell you is every reviewer is different, right? And that's not a cop-out answer, it's just the truth. Every reviewer is different, right? So if I read your personal statement, what stands out to me will be different than what stands out to somebody else, depending on my background, what I like, my preferences, and how I view the rest of the application. There's so much that goes into a personal statement, right? So I'll start off by saying that's my little caveat, my disclaimer. But the one thing I will say that everybody needs to do, and so many people get this wrong, right? But the one thing that makes personal statements stand out to me is I ask myself one question when I'm reading personal statements. Here's the one question, this is the filter. Is it personal? Is it personal, right? It sounds kind of simple, but after you've read enough, you realize it's not a simple question, right? I mean, it is a simple question, but you realize a lot of people don't write personal statements. So I want to know, is it something that is dear to your heart? Is this something that you're really talking about? If I read it and looked at 5 applicants, right? Could all 5 applicants have a similar thing, or is it unique to one applicant, right? Is it personal enough? So you read personal statements, some of them, like some of the really good ones, just really get into the weeds, and they can really tell you like your true why. They'll tell you their stories of, and you don't have to have a crazy story like growing up homeless or whatever, but you have to have a story that makes sense to what you want to do, right? And so some of my favorite ones are ones where they tell me what they want to do, right? Not necessarily in this order, but I just want you to see the linkage here. They tell me what they want to do, and not just I want to be a doctor, but they might have like a deeper calling within medicine, like I want to go work in rural America for this population, or they might say something like, I want to do research on HIV, blah, blah, blah. They have something, they know a little bit more than just wanting to be a doctor, right? They have a goal within medicine, right? So they'll tell me that, then they'll tell me a little bit about their history, and the history makes sense with that goal, and it's a personal history, right? These are my favorite ones by far, right? Where I say, okay, this is what they want to do. Okay, I see the linkage as to why they want to do it. It's not just like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. Why do you want to be an astronaut? Oh, nothing in my past or whatever. And sometimes some people just want to do something for the sake of wanting to do it. I get it, right? But there's always an impetus. There's always something that made you want to do that. So if I'm reading your personal statement, I want to know what the personal thing is that made you want to do that, right? And some people get super personal, right? Some people talk about, the death in the family or growing up homeless or, and to the extent you're uncomfortable. Some people even talk about if they've dealt with abuse, or some people might not have dealt with any of that stuff. Like, I really didn't have any of those super, super crazy. I had my own things, but nothing where you're like, wow, it's just a life-altering story, right? So then you talk about what is it for you that's super personal. So you might be thinking, hey, Dr. Dale, it's called a personal statement. Doesn't everybody just make things personal? They really don't. They really don't. You'll be surprised. After you read enough of these, you realize people really, I dare say most of these don't really come off as that personal. Nothing that I'm like, wow, okay, they really got personal with that one. A lot of times what you see people doing is they're pretty much regurgitating kind of their CV, curriculum vitae, or their resume. They're regurgitating their application into their personal statement, saying, I did this, I did that. And I'm like, I already know you did that. I saw it in your application, right? I want you to tell me about your heart, not what you accomplished necessarily. I can see the application, but tell me about who you are. What's the why? What's the super personal aspect about it? So that's what I'm looking for. That's my filter question. After I read a statement, I ask myself, was it personal? Yes or no? If it's yes, then that gets you a whole lot more points in my book, because that lets me know that, I believe to be a phenomenal physician, you need to have a certain level of vulnerability, right? So you have to be able to get personal to that level where you can show that you're human, that certain level of vulnerability to a certain extent. And that's important because we have to be humbled. We have to humble ourselves in order to provide the best care that we can possibly provide to other people. So your personal statement is just about, I accomplished this, I accomplished that, I achieved this, I got this award. Yeah, okay. The thing about medicine nowadays is everybody's got all that stuff, right? So, to sit here and just regurgitate all the awards you got, well, everybody's gotten a lot of awards now, right? Everybody's done this. Everybody's done something amazing now, right? So you need to tell me beyond that why I should care that you want to be a medical doctor, right? Give me some sort of idea that you have an understanding as to not just what this takes, but as to what your calling is, right? I want to know, how did you get to your calling? I want to know, and when I say your calling, I'm talking about the field of medicine, I'm talking about that white coat you put on, right? I want to know what in your life did you experience that nobody else experienced? So Ruth, what did you experience, Ruth, that was personal to Ruth that nobody else but Ruth experienced, right? That's how personal we want it to get, right? That's how personal, and those are the best ones. Those are by far the best ones when people are willing to be just a little bit vulnerable and let down their guard a little bit, right? Those are the ones that resonate with me. Again, other people are going to be different, but I'm just letting you know. You asked me a question, so I'm letting you know what resonates deeply and strongly with me is what I can see. Like, wow, okay, she's willing to let down her guard enough, so that tells me that she's going to be willing to go the extra mile for her patients, things of that sort. So that's what I look for in a person. But I could go through and give you a million different things, like little checkbox items that have been cool to me when I send them in a personal statement. But I don't want to do that because I don't want people to start trying to focus on, did I tell something that was cool enough? It doesn't need to be cool. It needs to be personal. It needs to be you, about you. Because from the rest of your application, I see your accomplishments. I see your rec letters. I see what other people said about you. I see your scores. Now I want to know what you say about you in your heart, right? And that's the most important thing about a personal statement. I'll say there's no right answer, no wrong answer. Thinking back to, let me see. So my medical school personal statement, I remember just kind of painting out my dream about the type of doctor I wanted to be in the sense of accomplishment. So I laid it out there. I had ambitions and things of that sort. I laid them out there about how I wanted to be a public speaker, standing on stage, impact the state. I talked about it, all stuff like that. When I was in, because I'm very, and Ruth, you know this, and everybody in the PreMed Monday program, you guys know I'm very big on leadership. So I talked about the personal aspects of leadership for me, and my goals, what I wanted to do with leadership. And I was bold and I put it out there. Sometimes it can be difficult to put out a goal like that. That's a little bit different than what a lot of people will be saying their goals are. Most people will be writing about, oh yeah, I want to, take care of patients, underserved, yada, yada, yada. And which is great. I want to do the same thing, of course. But when I was writing mine, I said, okay, let me tell people what I really want to do. What's personal for me is I want to be one of the greatest leaders that have come through here for the field of medicine and lead in a different way. right? And because I was vulnerable and put that goal out there, people resonated with it. I remember even talking about, I think this was for my residency application perhaps, I remember talking about before I could become a leader, I wanted to figure out how to become a good follower, right? So things of that sort. And those were things that were really deeply important to me. So think about things of that sort, Ruth. What are the things that are deeply important to you that other people aren't saying, that other people didn't experience? And I know a little bit about your history. You were a track star and things of that sort, right? So if there's anything that really resonated with you from that journey, that's what we want to hear. And that I want to hear how it links up with what you want to do and how you're going to get there. That's huge. I don't know, Ruth, perhaps it sounds a little bit kind of simple, but sit down, write it, think about it. It is simple. I want to say that first of all. But I think what people often do is they think, oh yeah, I can get personal, and start writing, and then they find themselves writing about things that get very generic very quickly. They get very, very generic very quickly. So that's what stands out to me in the personal statement. Of course, all the basic stuff, right? Make sure your grammar is solid. Make sure your spelling is good, right? You want to have some sort of flow, nice flow. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want the flow to make sense. It needs to be orderly. Don't just go completely jumping topic to topic without having a tying thread through it all, right? There needs to be a theme that ties it all together. That's probably the biggest part. That's what gets me, because I know sometimes I read personal statements and I'm thinking like, how do we get to this topic, right? How do we get here? Like, we're just jumping. And again, that's usually the case because people are usually trying to brag and say, I did this, I did that. And I don't need to know what you did in that sense, right? You can comment on a few things and how they link into your overall goal, your overall life's work, right? Your life's work. You can comment on those things, but don't turn your personal statement into a CV. It's a mouthful, Ruth. I try to keep these to 10 minutes, but sorry, I got going, but that's a mouthful. But the most important thing I look for, my screener question that I ask myself when I read personal statements is it truly personal or is it generic? The ones that are personal, that are truly personal, they get me all the time, right? But the ones that I could just substitute somebody else's name in and out for, average, right? Average. All right, Ruth, I hope that makes sense. I hope you get it. And I know you've got a great story. So I know you can write a super personal statement. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Remember, check out PreMedMondays.com. If you're a pre-med, join the mastermind sessions on Monday evenings and check out my weekly videos that I'll be sending to you. If you want to ask a question to me for me to answer on PreMed Mondays, send us a DM on Instagram at TeamBMWC or email us info@blackmanandwhitecoats.org. And remember, guys, we're paying for MCATs, right? We've announced 3 MCAT winners, transferred some funds last week, put the money in the bank account. They're good. We pay for your MCAT. So remember, go to blackmanandwhitecoats.org/MCAT and apply to get your MCAT paid for. All right. That's what I got for you guys this week, fam. Love you guys. See you next time.